My manager tried to hide her failures by using my work, dragged me into her marriage drama, and thought I'd cover for her forever. I never thought a single moment could divide your life into before and after. But the night everything fell apart for me wasn't explosive, wasn't cinematic, wasn't the kind of chaos you see in movies. No, it was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that feels staged, like the world is holding its breath because it already knows what you're about to find out. It started with a notification, one vibration, one screen light, one preview I wasn't supposed to see. It wasn't even on my phone. It was hers. A message popped up while she was in the shower. The steam fogged the mirror, the water running, her humming that same melody she always did when she felt safe, relaxed, and guarded. And there I was standing in the doorway, staring at a message that would twist my entire reality into something unrecognizable. I missed last night. When can we talk again? 3 lines. Not even 15 words. But they shattered me more completely than any long confession ever could. You don't miss last night with a coworker. You don't sign your texts with a single initial unless you think the initial is enough. You don't send a message like that to someone who's taken, and she definitely didn't act like someone who should be receiving messages like that. I stared at the screen for a solid 10 seconds. Maybe more. Time folded in on itself. The hum of the shower, the patter of water, her soft singing, everything sounded distant, like I was submerged underwater. All I could think was, this is it, isn't it? This is the thing you never think will happen to you. My fingers were trembling, but not from fear, from recognition. Because deep down, I already knew. I'd known for weeks, months, maybe. Little things. A shift in her tone, the way she guarded her phone, her sudden late work nights, the exhausted but not truly look she wore coming home, the empty smiles, the too gentle apologies, the new perfume, the sudden care with her appearance on days she said she wasn't seeing anyone important, and worst of all, the distance in bed. Not physical, emotional, like she was lying next to me but living in someone else's head. I should have confronted her earlier. I should have asked. I should have demanded the truth. But love makes you blind. Loyalty makes you silent. And hope. Hope is the sharpest knife of all. The shower stopped. She stepped out wrapped in a towel, her hair dripping, humming softly as she dried her face. That's when she saw me standing there, holding her phone like it was evidence at a crime scene. And in a way, it was. She froze. Not the way someone innocent freezes. Not shocked. Not confused. No, she froze like someone who already knows exactly which message I saw. Her eyes widened only slightly. Her breath hitched only once. Her whole body tightened, almost imperceptibly. Guilt has a language of its own. What are you doing with my phone? She whispered. I didn't shout. I didn't curse. I didn't throw her phone or slam a door or demand explanations. I just held up the screen, the message shining between us like a confession she didn't consent to give. Who's D? I asked. She stared at me, lips parted, chest rising and falling too quickly. She wrapped the towel tight around herself, suddenly aware of how exposed she was, not physically, but emotionally. She knew the performance was over. She knew the script she rehearsed for weeks wasn't going to save her. And for a moment, a single, fragile moment, I saw something in her eyes. Not fear. Not guilt. Relief. Like the weight of hiding had finally slid off her shoulders. Like she'd been waiting for me to find out because she no longer had the courage to tell me herself. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. I can explain, she breathed, but explanations are just excuses in nicer packaging. Then explain, I said quietly. I'm listening. She looked down. Her fingers trembled. The room felt colder. The silence between us stretched until it became a second person in the room, a witness neither of us wanted. Finally, she whispered one sentence that hollowed me out from the inside. It's not what you think, but it's also not what it should be. That was the moment I knew. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't harmless. This wasn't some emotional slip-up or flirty moment she regretted. This was betrayal. Deep, layered, intentional betrayal. And she wasn't even denying it. I took a step back. She took a step forward. Please, she whispered, voice cracking, don't walk away. Let me talk. Let me say it right. Then say it, I said. She inhaled sharply, looked me dead in the eye, and confessed the one thing I dreaded hearing more than anything else. It didn't start with D, it started with us falling apart. And that's where everything began to unravel. Asterisk, her words didn't hit like a slap. They landed like a slow, deep bruise, the kind that doesn't show on the skin but aches for weeks. It didn't start with D, it started with us falling apart. I stood there, every muscle locked, because I didn't know which part hurt more, the betrayal itself, or the idea that she thought this somehow made it better. Like shifting the blame onto us would soften the blow. "Oh, so now it's both of our faults?" I asked quietly. "That's what you're going with?" She shook her head faster to fast. Her wet hair flung droplets across the floor. Double quotes. No, that's not what I meant." She stepped toward me. I stepped back. Funny how distance can grow even in a small room. "What did you mean then?" I asked. She clutched the towel like she needed armor. Her voice dropped to something fragile, something unsteady. I didn't wake up one day and decide to betray you. I didn't plan it. I didn't go looking for it. It just happened. Because we stopped talking. You stopped paying attention. I stopped feeling like what? I cut in. Like the world didn't revolve around you every second of the day. The moment the words left my mouth, I regretted the tone, not because I was wrong, but because anger never gives you the clarity you think it does. Her eyes darkened. Not in anger. In shame. "I'm not trying to blame you," she whispered. "I'm trying to explain the part where I went wrong. I'm trying to tell you how I let myself get there. That word again. She wasn't talking about flirting. She wasn't talking about emotional texting. She was talking about the point of no return, the line that once crossed can't ever be painted over." I felt the earth around me. "Tell me everything," I said. And this time, my voice didn't shake. She sank onto the couch slowly, like her legs could no longer hold her. I didn't join her. I stayed standing, a deliberate choice she noticed immediately. Her shoulders curled in, like she was bracing for impact. "It started months ago," she said softly. "With the late meetings. You remember?" I remembered. The sudden shift in her schedule. The excuse of big project. The exhaustion that didn't look like work exhaustion. The glow that didn't look like stress. I nodded once. "That's when he started flirting with me," she continued. "At first, it felt harmless. I didn't even take it seriously. I told him I had a boyfriend. I wasn't interested. He backed off. But, I don't know, something in me liked the attention. There it was. The sentence that slices deeper than any admission of cheating. I liked the attention, because it meant the craving came first. Not the accident. Not the circumstances. The emptiness inside her was what opened the door." She rubbed her hands together, eyes unfocused, replaying memories she, until tonight, had kept buried. Then one night, after the team dinner, I stayed behind to help clean up. He offered me a ride home. I said no. But then it became a joke between us. A thing. Something stupid that felt fun. And every time I said no, he smiled more. And every time he smiled, I felt something shift. I inhaled sharply. A small, involuntary sound, but she heard it. "You don't have to listen to this," she said quickly. But I did. I needed to continue. She swallowed hard. A few weeks later, I said yes. The room tilted. Not physically, emotionally. Yes. A small word. A heavy one. I forced myself to speak. "To the ride." Her silence answered for her. I blinked once, slowly, because reality suddenly felt nauseating. "Did you sleep with him?" I asked, my voice barely there. Her head jerked up, eyes wide. No, not then. Not that night." The words "not then" crawled under my skin like ice. "Then when?" I asked. She looked away, tears gathering in her lashes. "It was gradual," she whispered. "We talked more, messaged more, shared things I should have shared with you. I felt understood, seen, and I knew it was wrong. No, I was crossing lines. But I kept telling myself I could stop anytime. And could you?" I asked. Her lip trembled. "No." A short, broken answer. "What happened next?" She took a shaky breath. "One night, he kissed me. The world didn't end. It didn't explode. It just cracked. And you kissed him back." I said, not as a question, as a fact. She didn't deny it. She just nodded. A small, devastating nod that rewrote the entire history of our relationship. I sat down finally, not next to her, across from her, like to strangers discussing the ruins of something once sacred. So, I said quietly, D is him. She hesitated. And that hesitation, that tiny flicker of fear in her eyes, it told me everything before she said a word. There was more. Another layer. Another truth she didn't want to hand over. Finally, she whispered, he isn't just some coworker. My chest tightened. Then who is he? She looked at me with a kind of hopelessness I'd never seen in her. He's my manager. Of course he was. The cliché of it made my stomach turn, but not because it was predictable. Because it meant she didn't just betray me emotionally. She betrayed me for someone who had power over her. Someone who knew she was taken. Someone who groomed the situation. Someone who she let in anyway. He pursued me first, she said quickly, almost desperately. I didn't go after him. I swear. I don't care who started it. I replied evenly. I care who continued it. She crumbled at that. Literally, shoulders shaking, hands covering her face, the towel slipping slightly as she curled in on herself. I'm sorry, she sobbed. I'm so sorry. I don't know how to undo any of it. I don't know why I let it go that far. I don't know how to fix what I broke. I stared at her, feeling something terrifying. Nothing. No rage. No tears. Just numb clarity. You're not telling me everything yet, I said. And she froze, because she knew I was right. There was still one more truth. One more wound waiting to be opened. And when she finally said it, it would change everything. Asterisk. She didn't move. Not a breath, not a twitch. It was the stillness of someone standing at the edge of a cliff, knowing one more step, one wrong word would send everything crashing down. Her fingers tightened around the towel, knuckles white, eyes fixed on the floor like she could avoid my gaze and somehow avoid the truth I'd already sensed. There's more, I said again, quieter this time. Not accusing, not emotional, just certain. She closed her eyes. And in that moment, in that lingering silence between us, I understood something with painful clarity. People don't freeze like that unless they're deciding whether to. One last time, when she finally opened her eyes, she looked like someone who had already lost. You're right, she whispered. There is more. A cold heaviness settled in my chest, not fear, not anger. Resignation. Like I already knew the shape of the truth. I just didn't know its full weight yet. I leaned forward slightly. Then say it. She pressed her lips together. They trembled. Her voice was barely audible. It wasn't just messaging, or kissing, or feelings. It went further. How far? I asked. She inhaled, but the breath broke halfway through. Her hands trembled. Her eyes filled, but she refused to let a single tear fall yet. It wasn't just one time, she whispered. My heart didn't drop. It didn't shatter. It simply stopped. Like a clock running out of battery. Not one time, I repeated slowly. She nodded, eyes begging me not to walk away. How long? My voice came out colder than I intended. She closed her eyes like she was bracing for impact. 3 months. The words hit harder than anything before. Not because of what they meant, but because of how easily she said them. Like she had rehearsed the line in her head. Like she knew this moment was coming. 3 months, 12 weeks, 90 nights, 90 mornings, a quarter of a year, 3 months of lying, 3 months of choosing someone else. 3 months of getting into my bed, holding my hand, kissing my lips while belonging to another man. I leaned back, staring at her like she had become a stranger. Because she had. You've been sleeping with him, I said quietly. Her eyes snapped up, desperate. No, not every time. It wasn't like that. I swear, don't minimize it, I said sharply. Don't protect me from the truth. Protecting me is something you stopped doing a long time ago. That broke her. Tears spilled over. She covered her face, shoulders shaking. I'm sorry, she choked. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to fall into it. I didn't mean to let it go so far. I tried to end it. I tried, but he kept coming back. And I was weak. I know I was weak. Weak. That word echoed inside my skull like a scream in an empty hall. Weak people destroy the strongest bonds. Weak people turn loyalty into a one-sided currency. Weak people gamble with hearts that aren't theirs to break. I looked at her. Really looked at her, this woman I once loved so deeply it frightened me. Now she sat in front of me like an exposed truth I didn't want to claim anymore. You said there was more, I said. Is this everything? And that's when her expression changed. Not guilt, not fear. Something worse. A flicker of panic. A flash of hesitation. A tiny, instinctive glance away. That look told me everything. There was one more truth. A deeper one. A darker one. Something she hadn't meant to tell me tonight. Something she hoped I wouldn't notice. Something she still, even now, wanted to hide. I felt a chill run through me. What else? I asked, voice lower, slower. She shook her head fast. Nothing. That's it. I swear. That's everything. Double quotes. It rang in there like a bell. She couldn't lie convincingly anymore. Her body betrayed her before her mouth did. I stood up. That scared her. She reached out instinctively. Like grabbing my wrist could stop the truth from moving forward. I stepped back. No, I said. If you want to fix anything, if you want even a chance of being heard, then stop lying. Right now, stop. She stared at me, desperation all over her face. I'm not lying, she whispered. You are, I said simply. She froze again. Exactly like before. And then her eyes changed, not soft, not broken, not apologetic. But terrified. Not of losing me, of telling me the next truth. I felt the air shift. This was it. The real secret. The thing she buried deepest. The thing that made all the rest look almost forgivable in comparison. When she finally spoke, her voice was so quiet I barely heard it. There's something I didn't tell you, she breathed. Because if I say it, I know you'll never forgive me. I didn't move. Didn't blink. What is it? She took a long, shaking breath. During those 3 months, her voice cracked. It wasn't just him. The silence that followed felt like the world stopped spinning. Not just him. Not just him. My breath left my lungs in one slow, devastating exhale. She wasn't having an affair. She was living a double life. And I hadn't even heard the worst part yet. Asterisk, not just him. The words hung between us like a noose, silent, waiting, tightening with every breath I took. For a moment, I thought I misheard her. Thought maybe the ringing in my ears twisted her sentence into something uglier, darker, more destructive. But when she lifted her face red, trembling, terrified, I knew I heard her perfectly. There was someone else. I asked slowly, the words scraping out of my throat like they were made of glass. She didn't answer, and that was answer enough. I sat back down slowly, quietly, because my legs didn't trust me to stand anymore. Not from weakness, but from sheer disbelief at just how deep this betrayal ran. When? I finally asked. Before him? After? During? She whispered. Something inside me snapped. Not loud, not violent. Just a clean break, a fracture so quiet it almost felt peaceful. Who? I said. Not a question. A command. She shook her head, covering her mouth with her trembling hand. I can't tell you that. You don't have a choice anymore. She closed her eyes, tears slipping down her cheeks. Please, don't make me say his name. So it was a man. Is he someone I know? I asked, already bracing for the worst. Her hesitation was the longest 10 seconds of my life. Then barely audible. Yes. My jaw clenched. From your work? No. A different kind of fear crawled up my spine. From mine. Her breath hitched. And just like that, I realized the truth before she spoke it. Her silence was confirmation. You're telling me, I said slowly, every word laced with disbelief, that you cheated on me with your manager and someone from my life. She buried her face in her hands. I didn't mean for any of it to happen, she cried. I didn't plan it. I didn't go looking. Stop saying that. My voice finally rose, sharp, cutting through the room like a blade. She flinched. People don't accidentally cheat twice, I said. They don't accidentally look someone in the eyes, take off their clothes, and forget they're in a relationship. Twice. She sobbed into her hands, breath breaking, body shaking. I was in a dark place, she whispered. I felt lost. I felt disconnected. I felt like what? I snapped. Like the solution was to collect men. That broke something in her. She doubled over, covering her ears, crying harder. I know it was wrong, she screamed. I know I hurt you. I know I destroyed everything. But I didn't know how to stop. I didn't know how to climb out of it. Her voice cracked, raw, panicked. It felt like I was living 2 lives. And one of them wasn't mine. And the other one, The one with you felt like it was slipping away no matter how hard I tried to hold onto it. Double quotes tried. She used the word try the way a drowning person uses the word swim. I didn't speak, didn't move. I just watched her unravel finally, fully, truthfully, but I still didn't know the worst part. Tell me who he is, I said softly. She shook her head. I can't. Please, please don't make me. If you don't tell me, I'll find out myself. I said calm now. Calm. And I promise you whatever version you think is painful now will be 10 times worse if I discover it through someone else. She froze. Then, without looking at me, she whispered one sentence that changed the direction of my anger entirely. It wasn't serious with him. With who? I demanded. She swallowed. He wasn't like the other one. It wasn't emotional. It was just. She couldn't finish the sentence. It was just physical. Just a body. Just a moment. Just a choice she made that had nothing to do with love. That makes it worse, I said. She nodded slowly. Defeated, I know. A beat of silence. Then her voice small, broken, trembling. It happened once, just once. And I regretted it the second it was over. I swear. He meant nothing to me. Nothing. Who? I repeated. Her breath caught in her throat. She pressed her fist to her mouth. She shook her head like a child refusing medicine. Then finally, she whispered the truth. It was your friend. The room went dead silent. My pulse stopped. My vision sharpened into something cold, predatory, dangerous. Which friend? My voice didn't sound like mine. She cried harder. I can't. Which friend? She crumbled. Ethan. My world collapsed inward. Ethan. My closest friend. The guy who had been in my home 100 times. Who shared beers with me. Who laughed with me. Who I trusted blindly. The betrayal wasn't a wound anymore. It was an explosion. A double detonation. A fracture on both sides. She wasn't done destroying my life. She brought someone else with her. Someone I called a brother. I leaned back, staring at her as the last illusions burned away. When did it happen? I asked. She wiped her face, looking nauseous. The night you went to visit your parents, she whispered. He came over to drop something off. I was having a bad day. We talked. I cried. It escalated. I don't even know how. I felt lonely. I felt abandoned. I felt you felt like cheating again, I said. She didn't deny it. She just nodded weakly, like agreeing with me hurt less than the truth behind it. I never told him it was a mistake, she said softly. I just pretended it never happened. And him? I asked. Did he try again? Her silence was answer enough. So Ethan didn't regret it, didn't fight it, didn't confess. He kept it in his pocket like a secret weapon. She looked up at me suddenly as red voice desperate. I ended everything with both of them, she cried. I swear. I never saw Ethan again. And my manager, I told him I couldn't do it anymore. I tried to fix myself before you found out. I swear I did. Did you stop? I asked, almost bored now. Yes, she breathed. Because you wanted to, I said. Or because you got caught. She looked away. And I understood. She didn't stop because of moral clarity. She stopped because reality caught up. Because guilt wasn't enough to make her choose me. Fear was. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then she whispered, please. Say something. So I did. You didn't just break us. You broke me. She sobbed so hard her whole body shook. But for the first time since the night began, I didn't feel anything for her tears. The emotion I felt was directed somewhere else now. At Ethan. At the man who should have stood beside me. Not behind my back. The betrayal had a second heartbeat. And I wasn't done digging. Not even close. I took a slow breath, trying to steady the tremor in my chest as I stepped into my apartment. The city outside still buzzed, neon reflections sliding across my windows like restless ghosts. But inside, everything felt strangely still, as if the air itself was holding its breath, waiting for whatever came next. I dropped my keys onto the counter and glanced at the message Alina had sent earlier. We need to talk, tonight. The kind of message that never meant anything good. And yet, part of me, some stubborn, foolish part, wanted to believe she was reaching out because she finally understood something. Because she finally knew what she'd thrown away. Because she'd seen the truth she'd been avoiding for months. But deep down, I already sensed it. This wasn't a reconciliation. This wasn't an apology. It was another twist. Another piece of the puzzle sliding into place. Another shadow I'd have to walk through. But first things first. I moved toward the living room and opened the folder Damien had given me earlier. The documents shifted beneath my hands, crisp and damning. Bank transfers, forwarded emails, meetings scheduled under fake names. And what caught my eye was a photo clipped to the back. A location, a time, a private rooftop lounge tonight. Of course, she wanted to talk. Because she wasn't coming alone, I let the thought settle as I leaned back, staring up at the ceiling. The weight of the last week's months pressed against me. Betrayal had stopped feeling sharp. It felt heavy instead, like something that had shaped itself into a dull stone lodge beneath my ribs. But something else was growing beside it, a cold clarity, an understanding that maybe I needed all of this to finally step out of whatever shadow I'd been living under. My phone buzzed again. A new message. Don't be late. Please. Alina, please. Funny how that word still managed to sting. Before, I might have rushed, heart pounding, desperate to fix things that were already broken beyond recognition. But not now. Now, I was walking into this with my eyes wide open. I grabbed my coat, slid the folder into my inner pocket, and stepped out into the corridor. The elevator hummed softly as it carried me down, the numbers blinking one by one until it opened to the lobby washed with warm light. Outside, the wind brushed against my face, carrying faint traces of rain. Tonight would end something, but it would also begin something else. As I walked toward the street, a quiet certainty settled into me like the slow click of gears aligning. Whatever was waiting on that rooftop, Alina. The truth she'd been hiding, the lies she'd woven, the person she'd become, it wasn't going to break me. Not anymore. I crossed the street, heading toward the car Damien had arranged for me earlier. The driver nodded silently when I approached, and I slid into the back seat. The engine hummed as we pulled into the night, city lights streaming past like blurred memories. Rooftop lounge, Cobalt. The driver asked. Yes, I said, my voice calm in a way that surprised even me. As we drove, I leaned my head back and let the rhythm of the city wash over me. Horns in the distance, the whisper of tires on wet asphalt, and somewhere beneath it all, the low resonance of something shifting inside me. Resolve, maybe. Strength I didn't know I still had. 20 minutes later, we arrived. The lounge towered above the streets, its entrance framed by sleek metal edges and soft blue lighting. I stepped out. The air colder here, sharper. The elevator to the rooftop hummed as it carried me upward. When the doors opened, I stepped into a dimly lit space suspended above the city glass walls. Soft music, the shimmer of distant lights. And there she stood, near the edge, her silhouette outlined by the glow of the skyline. Alina. When I woke up the next morning after everything that happened with Ava, her husband, the emails, the whispers, and the elevator meltdown, something in me felt different. Like that invisible thread tying me into their chaos had finally snapped. I didn't rush to work. I didn't check messages. I didn't run through scenarios in my head. I just sat at my table with a cup of coffee and realized something simple. I didn't owe these people anything anymore. Not my worry. Not my silence. Not my protection. By the time I arrived at the office, the building buzzed like a beehive. Something was off. People whispered, heads tilted toward screens, and even the security guard looked unusually alert. When I reached my floor, the first thing I noticed was Ava's office door half open. Her husband was standing inside with his back toward me, voice raised in that cold, clipped way angry men think sounds controlled. Ava looked pale, sitting behind her desk like she wished she could melt into the chair. He didn't see me, but she did. Our eyes met for half a second. She looked like someone waiting for a rescue that wasn't coming. And for the first time, I felt absolutely nothing. No panic. No guilt. No responsibility. Just clarity. I walked past them without a word, heading straight to the department head's office. He was in the middle of reviewing quarterly numbers when I stepped in. Do you have a minute? I asked. He sighed. For you? Sure. As long as it's quick. Today's insane. Perfect. I sat down, slid my phone across the desk, and said, everything you need to know is in that folder labeled Ava Internal. Open it. He raised an eyebrow but did as I said. Inside was everything. Screenshots of her husband's threats, and emails Ava sent me asking to hide projects. Audio from the elevator confrontation, chat logs she tried to delete, timestamps proving she redirected her workload to me. For months, And the kicker? Documentation showing she used my work under her name into department reports. None of it was emotional. None of it dramatic. Just facts. Cold, precise facts. He scrolled. And scrolled. And then stopped. Why didn't you bring this earlier? I wanted to be sure I wasn't acting out of emotion. I said calmly. Now I'm sure. He nodded once, slowly. This is serious. I'll handle it. And one more thing, I added. I'm not asking for pity or to ruin anyone. I just don't want to be associated with any of this anymore. I need a clean break from the situation. Whatever that looks like. He leaned back, exhaling sharply. You'll have it. When I left the office, I didn't go back to my desk. I didn't check if Ava was still arguing with her husband. I didn't look behind me at all. I just walked outside into the cold air. I sat on a bench across the street, feeling the first quiet moment I'd had in weeks. I watched people move around me, some rushing, some laughing, some stressed, but they were all in their own worlds. And for once, mine felt peaceful. About an hour later, Ava texted me. They pulled me into a meeting. I know what you did. I'm not angry. I just wish you talked to me first. I stared at the message for a long moment. Then I typed the most honest sentence I'd sent in months. I did talk. You just didn't listen. I didn't wait for her reply. Later that day, HR called me in. They didn't ask for explanations. They already had everything. They just thanked me for my professionalism and clarity and informed me that I was being moved to a different team under a different manager. Clean break. New environment. Fresh start. Exactly what I asked for. Ava, I later heard, wasn't fired, but she was put under review, lost her decision-making authority, and was assigned a supervisor above her. Quiet consequences. The kind that lingered. Her husband. He stopped showing up at the office entirely. Mia invited me for coffee a week later, but I declined politely. I wasn't mad. I just wasn't interested in replaying the past. The best revenge I ever got was something I never expected. Peace. Not dramatic, not loud, not cinematic. Just peace. One evening, weeks later, I walked home with my hands in my pockets, the city lights reflecting off the wet pavement. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I finally stepped out of someone else's storm and back into my own life. A life where I no longer needed to save people who weren't trying to save themselves. Life where I chose myself first. Life that finally felt like mine. And that quiet, steady, intentional was my real ending.